12 Micro Planning. Contents 12.1 Introduction, 12.2 The concept, need, and objectives, 12.3 The background of micro planning in India, 12.4 Approach and strategies, 12.5 Advancement of primary education through micro planning, 12.6 Micro planning, the need for a holistic approach, 12.7 Conclusion, 12.8 Further reading. Learning objectives. This unit helps you to analyze concept, need, and objective of microplanning, background pertaining to the emergence microplanning as a concept of development, strategies of microplanning, and advancement of primary education through microplanning. 12.1 Introduction. The previous two blocks dealt with various perspectives on growth-oriented development as well as theories that originated as a response of critique to those perspectives. Apart from those theoretical perspectives, there are some issues such as the need for community participation in planning and development, environmental sustainability, etc., have become a part of contemporary development discourse. In this block, we will be discussing some of these issues in detail. In a diverse country like India, the concept like decentralized planning has got under acceptance as it takes cognizance on the dimensions of planning and local resources to be utilized for the execution of the planning. Microplanning or area planning has been an important component of decentralized planning. In India, microplanning works as a bridge between national orientation of planning and the localized needs. This unit introduces you with various dimensions of microplanning, the aims, objectives, and concept of microplanning at the outset, and the historical background of microplanning. Its needs are also specifically spelled out. The approach and strategy required for successful implementation of microplanning are also examined. The concept, need, and objectives. Microplanning is a crucial aspect of development. At the outset, let us get clarified with the concept, need, and objectives of microplanning. Microplanning is a crucial aspect of development. A. The concept. The term microplanning is used in many different ways and in vastly divergent context. In fact, the term microplanning remains rather vague unless the actual level of planning is defined. Nowadays, a more fashionable term, area planning, is often employed as a synonym of microplanning. In essence, the term microplanning implies multi-level and decentralized planning approach to the overall development of a country. Microplanning is essentially a spatial development planning which tends to utilize all kinds of available resources, natural, human, and other, to the fullest extent. It attempts to distribute the fruits of development among regions and social groups within the region, which can minimize the socio-economic imbalance and improve the living conditions of the masses. In other words, microplanning is concerned with the ordering of human activities for socio-economic transformation in supra-local space in an agriculture-based rural economy as against supra-urban space for an urban-dominated economy. In India, the concept of microplanning has emerged in order to maintain a balance in planning and development between national priorities and local needs. Microplanning as a development strategy got some importance out of realizations that general planning done at the national level does not automatically ensure its applicability at local levels, for each area has its own personality, potentiality, and needs. A successful plan therefore must be sensitive to these micro level variations while taking into account the limitation posed by national priorities, resources, and investment of funds. B. The need. In the development policies of developing countries like India, the issues of social equity and balanced spatial development has now come to the forefront. For this, greater emphasis has been laid on local level of a regional area approach to planning as against the macroeconomic sectorial approach. It has been done out of the comprehensions that the microplanning in its true perspective tends to be much more responsive to the emerging socio-economic problems at various territorial levels. Microplanning is suggested for the all-round socio-economic development of a geographically diverse country like India against the single national level sectorial planning. Because the space in which the people live and the work is real, and to ignore the space and its community is to ignore the basic reality of interface between habitat, economy, and society. The central argument of microplanning is that as sources of for development are space bound, that planning must be within the spatial framework so that human, natural, and all other resources may be utilized fully and benefits of development may be distributed evenly. It may thus help to overcome the possibility of any further regional disparity in fostering economic growth and development. In order to carry out the benefit of development to the poor, to ensure the continuity of balanced growth, and to provide social justice, micro level approach to planning was recommended. It was thought by some experts that micro regional planning as such may take planning objectives and strategy at the national level for granted, and especially addressed itself to the specific spatial features emerging in the formulation and operation of a national plan in a particular region. Strategically, microplanning helps in fixing priority for different regions depending upon their specific needs, and also for successful implementation of the micro level planning. Microplanning is often considered necessary. See, aim and objective. The micro the aim is in microplanning is on planning from the lowest level, that is from the functional community upward to a clearly defined regions to fulfill the needs of the local areas and ensuring the process of integration of the different areas with an objective to attain balanced regional development. Therefore, location of specific socio-economic activities and their interlinkages over a region or particular geographical area are the major concerns of micro level planning. Micro planning takes into cognizance the evolution of the spatial patterns of human activities, without which economic, social, and environmental goals of planning cannot be achieved up to expectation. It is thus put greater emphasis on those sectors which support the people of lower income groups, particularly the poor and the weaker sections in rural areas, with an aim to offer them a better quality of life and ameliorating their deplorable socio-economic conditions. Thus, to alleviate rural poverty and inequality, emphasis has been laid on special type of economic, social, and environmental management through micro-level development planning. There is no denial of the fact that India's approach to development planning has been predominantly macro-oriented, emphasizing national goals and priorities. Microplanning, on the other hand, was developed to functionally maintain a balance between national priorities and local needs. Reflections and action 12.1. What to do? What do you mean by microplanning? Highlight its need, aim, and objectives. 12.3. The background of microplanning in India. Since the very beginning of Indian planning, emphasis has been given on promoting a better standard of living of the people by efficient exploration of resources of the country, increasing production and offering opportunity to all for employment in the services of community within an ideology deeply rooted in the concept of democracy and socialism. For achieving these objectives, special significance has been laid on the welfare of the rural areas and the weaker and backward sections. But in reality, a larger share of the benefit has been appropriated by some privileged forward class as well as a few economically developed advanced regions of the country. That has resulted in mass rural poverty, unemployment, and underdevelopment and social tension, particularly among the weaker sections of rural population, and ultimately brought into being regional disparity and sectoral imbalances. The first two 5-year plans of India made no effort in direction of micro level or regional planning and development. During the third plan, the regional focus in planning became more explicit, and for the first time, it gave a serious thought over the problems of regional development. But due to lack of proper national policy with regard to the spatial dimensions of planning, the micro level regional approach to development could not be initiated in the actual planning strategy. The fourth 5th-year plan, 1969 to 74, however, noted that certain regions in the country are advancing at the cost of others, and that certain sections of the population who already have some resources are prospering while an overwhelming proportions of the population has generally remained outside the mainstream of economic progress. In order to correct some of these regional imbalances, it had emphasized the need for microplanning district level on the assumption that the plans made at the national and state level can be brought down to the people of more lower levels in much more efficient manner. So fourth plan put considerable importance to planning at the district level and to experimental studies on growth centers for evolving an appropriate micro planning strategy at the grassroots level. The fourth plan, in fact, marked a watershed in planning by emphasizing the need to strengthen regional development through some kind of micro planning. For the first time in Indian planning, it stressed upon the necessity to strengthening micro planning at the district and lower levels. The fourth plan initiated micro regional planning from the grassroots under the name of area development, taking due note of regional resource potentialities and limitations. It was strongly felt by the planners and policymakers that the planning exercise at macro, national, or state levels cannot take into account the local variation in resources and needs. Hence, an area development framework drawn up at the district and block levels was considered to be more realistic than one formulated at the state level. Therefore, for micro level regional planning, initially district was selected as a planning unit with the aim to accelerate development of backward areas and to reduce regional disparities in socio-economic advancement. The concept of integrated area development had emerged for sustained development of targeted area. Various models like growth centers, growth poles, service centers, central place, etc. had been advanced during the fourth and fifth plan to serve the hinterlands of backward and tribal areas, taking into consideration the economic base and population potential of that area. Integrated area development thus referred to the appropriate location of social and economic activities over a physical space for the balanced development of a particular region. The concept of integrated area development therefore offered a new framework for decentralizing economic and social activities by locating specific functions in appropriate places. Reflections and Action 12.2. Write a short note on the historical background of microplanning in India. 12.4 Approach and Strategies. Microplanning is considered as a method to bring about integrated area development in a countryside. It is therefore not limited to any particular settlement. Microplanning takes a whole hierarchy of central places and its hinterlands at its focus. The emphasis in microplanning is a planning from the lowest level upward to a clearly defined area of region. In many cases, this region may be co-terminus with the district. In doing this, the need of the local area as well as the purpose of regional development are served. The location of specific socio-economic activities and their interlinkages over a region are major concerns of microplanning. The national plans, while providing a broad framework of development, strategically microplanning helps fix priorities for different regional developing depending on their specific need. It has been realized that without micro-level planning, no national plan can be properly implemented. At the same time, without national priorities, no micro-planning is possible. Therefore, for all practical purposes, both the micro and micro methods of planning are complementary to each other, and their combined use is essential in bringing about an overall socio-economic development of the country. Or to put it in another way, to make any development planning effective, there is a need to follow a two-pronged approach working simultaneously and in a coordinated way from the grassroots level up and the national level down. Microplanning, in its true perspective, attempts to address the emerging socio-economic problems at various territorial levels. It offers a planning within a spatial framework so that all kinds of resources and endowment may be utilized fully and the fruits of development could be equally shared socially. At some point, microplanning is often made synonymous with the regional and area planning. For policy consideration, microplanning provides a realistic approach for the socio-economic development, particularly for a country like India, where regional disparities and imbalance are acute and problems of poverty and unemployment are alarming, with the specific features in the rural areas. It emphasizes spatial process of development within the broad framework of national plan given giving due consideration to the special problems, resources, and needs at the grassroots level. The basic idea behind the microplanning is to offer a grassroots approach in discovering growth potentials and various impediments to development spatially. In 1970s, the growth center model had been identified as a basic tool for micro-level planning and development in rural area. In microplanning, major emphasis has been given to the development of weaker sections of the population and of backward region areas. The concept of microplanning was developed to bring planning efforts to district or block level for a balanced growth to all regions of all sections of population. Microplanning came as a real breakthrough in the area of planning by offering a scientific local plan at the micro level. Taking into account the geographical scope of microplanning within which various development programs can be effectively organized and implemented, the microregions were identified as a suitable units for the formulation of area development plans because they were found sufficiently close to the grassroots and afford opportunities for direct and active people's participation and implementation of the plan. The spatial process of development being the sole criterion for microplanning, emphasizes planning from the lowest level, that is, from the cluster of villages upward to a clearly defined region. The rationale behind micro-level area planning is that there is hierarchy of settlements based on availability of services with specializations in an area and population which need to be located at the most appropriate places. Microplanning approach provide opportunity to backward areas for development through different integrated area development program. It also offers a framework for decentralizing the economic social activities by locating specific functions at appropriate places. Thus, location of a specific socio-economic activities and their interlinkages over a regions are the major concerns of micro-level planning. The approach of microplanning later period also led to the introduction of several new area-specific development programs. The more prominent of them are the Command Area Development, Desert Development Program, Drought-Prone Development Program, Integrated Area Development Program, Hill Area Development Program, Tribal Area Development Program, and Whole Village Development Program. They are directed at specific areas or the regions which suffer from some disabilities or are prone to certain hardships. Reflections and Action 12.3. Try to locate a micro project operating in your area, collect information about nature and source of fund, aims, objectives and achievements of this project. Based on your information, write a 3-page of note on the reason for the success or failure of this project. 12.5. Advancement of primary education through microplanning. The strategies of microplanning is applied in various areas of social concern. And education is an important component of human development. In this section, we shall be examining how microplanning is used for advancement of primary education in India. As you are aware, education is in the concurrent list. Both the central and the state government can make laws on education. Both the central and the state government have been expanding the provision of primary, formal and non-formal education to realize the goal of universalization of elementary education since independence. There are several strategies formulated at the state, district, even at the village level to attain the objective of universalization of elementary education. The challenges now is to sustain and deepen current reforms in education and encourage local planning and management of strategies for expanding and improving primary education. The National Policy of Education 1986 and its policy of action envisaged the formulation of village education committees for management of elementary education. It emphasized on micro-planning as a process of designing a family-wise and child-wise plan of action by which every child regularly attends school, continues his or her education at the place suitable to him or her, and completes at least 8 years of schooling. The 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments provide for decentralization of the activities and facilitate transfer of power and participation of local self-government institutions, Panchayati Raj institutions. The institutions have widely been used by women women, scheduled castes and tribes, minorities, parents and educational functionaries for the implementation of the UEE program at the grassroots level. As the Panchayati Raj institutions have also been delegated with responsibility to location and relocation of existing primary and upper schools on the basis of microplanning and school mapping, these have emerged as an effective tool for decentralized school management at the village level. Since the 8th plan period, the district primary education program has shifted the planning mechanism from the state to the district level, and Log Jumbish has gone one step further by assigning decisions making process to a block level committee. At the village level, a village education committee has been main responsibility for community mobilization, mapping, microplanning, renovation and construction of school building and improvement of pedagogical curriculum, a brief pedagogical curriculum, and a brief account of these community-based programs follows. First, community-based mobilization and participation. At the grassroots, educational innovations are based on the strong foundation of community support and participation. When educational program is discussed and analyzed at different levels within the project, people's acceptance and participation is used as an indicator. Mobilizing the village community to take responsibility to ensure the quality education for every child is the core strategy of both Log Jumbish and Shiksha Karmi project in their efforts to universalize primary education and deliver quality education. Second, Shiksha Karmi project. The SKP constituted VEC's 2000 villages also aims to promote community involvement in primary education and encourage village level planning. The role of the village education committee is to mobilize resources for maintenance, repair and construction of school infrastructure, determine the school calendar and school timings in consultations with the local community and Shiksha Karmis, educational workers. Shiksha Karmi project SKP is being implemented since 1987 with assistance from the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. The project aims at the universalization and qualitative improvement of primary education in the remote and socio-economic backward villages of Rajasthan with primary focus on girls. Since teacher absenteeism has been found to be a major obstacle in achieving the objective of UEE, the project uses the novel approach of substituting teachers in dysfunctional schools with the local youth known as Shiksha Karmis, who are provided with rigorous training and supervisory support. An important feature of this innovative project is the mobilization and participation of the community in improving the functioning of primary schools. Log Jumbish project. Log Jumbish project works to empower the locally elected people, especially the female representative at village level, who are often active as members of the LJ core teams or women groups. The village education committees are carefully formed and are trained to handle the LJ program. Barely 5 years old Log Jumbish has made an indelible impression in the primary education landscapes of Rajasthan. The coverage of the project has extended to 75 blocks, covering a population of approximately 12 million. Significantly, it has also achieved a major breakthrough in welding together government agencies, teachers, NGOs, elected representatives, and the people into the interactive group efforts to promote universalization of primary education. The 7 guiding principles of Log Jumbish are a process rather than product approach, partnership, decentralized functioning, participatory learning, integration with the mainstream education system, flexibility of management, and creating multiple level of leadership committed to quality and mission mode. Special focus has been given to the environment building in all training programs under LJ. This helps in the development of an understanding about issues involved in people's mobilization, use of different media forms, and clarity about the message to be given to the people. Reflections and actions 12.4. Visit a government aided primary school functioning in your locality to collect information on involvement of the local people in the management of the school. Also collect the information how did the involvement of the local people affect functioning of the school and the student enrollment and the retention in the school. Write a note based on your observation in about 500 words. 12.6 Microplanning. The need for a holistic approach in India. Microplanning became a matter of concern and subject of study only in early 17th of 20th century. The concept of microplanning emerged taking in view the emerging socio-economic conditions of the country and the inadequacy of past planning efforts in checking regional disparities. Microplanning is a novel project for an integrated balanced development of an area. The location of a specific resources and socio-economic activities and their interlinkages over a region are major concerns of micro-level planning. Micro-level planning addresses itself to the specific spatial features of particular regions, lying due emphasis on local problems, varying widely in potential, perplexities, resources, infrastructures, and needs. In a nutshell, micro-level planning is concerned with the allocation of resources of the planning entity concerned to maximize whatever goals the entity may have. Till the third plan, India had gone through the excess of microplanning without evolving any micro-level plans for implementation. The fourth plan, however, envisaged the necessity of microplanning in rejuvenating an underdeveloped area by proper utilization of natural and human resources. It is stressed upon the need to strengthen micro-level planning at district and lower level with an area development program to provide infrastructure and other growth requirements in each area. The proponents of microplanning felt it that the planning exercise at the national and state levels cannot take place in account the local variation in resources and needs. Hence, an area development framework drawn upon at the district and block levels was considered to be more realistic than one formulated at the higher level. In case of any micro or regional planning, four prime considerations are involved for its actual policy formulations and successful performance. They are 1. Identification of the specific needs of the area. 2. An accurate assessment of the limits and opportunities imposed on available resources of the area. 3rd, selecting of suitable strategy for development, and for the proper coordination at multiple spatial levels. Moreover, in preparing a comprehensive micro-level area development plan, there is a need to integrate the economic and social goals into a single whole in a more coordinated fashion. To conclude, in a country like India with a heterogeneous composition of people and regions, the wide local variation in the levels of development calls for a different approach in which the plan is based on local resources, potential, and it's sensitive to local needs. For this purpose, micro-level, regional, and spatial planning could be proper instruments from promoting area-specific development within the overall framework of the national plan. It could expedite rural transformation from the deplorable state of stagnation, poverty, and employment and inequality to the progress, prosperity, self-employment, and equity. However, if microplanning is to be effective, microplanning requires an interdisciplinary approach. 12.7 Conclusion. Even though the concept of microplanning became a part of popular discourse, the concept varies from laymen to policymakers. This unit familiarizes us with the concept of microplanning, its needs and objectives. It examines how the concept has been emerged in India and how it has been conceived in different plans. Microplanning is aimed at discovering growth potentials at grassroots levels. Besides this, in India, microplanning has been applied on various areas of social concern. In this unit, we have been how microplanning is used for advancement of education in India. Finally, it highlights the need for a holistic approach in microplanning of human development. 12.8 further reading. Gadgil DR 1967, District Development Planning, Gokhale Institute of Politics and Economics, Pune. Singh Radhe Raman 1982, Studies on Regional Planning and Rural Development, associated with Book Agency, Patna. Tarlok Singh 1969, Towards on Integrated Society, Reflections on Planning, Social Policy and Rural Institutions, Orion Longman, Bombay. So this is the end of the Unit 12.